Welcome to Ground Game with your Cabarrus County Republican Party. I am Abdul Ali, and ladies and gentlemen, we are excited about what's going on here in Cabarrus County. We're down here at your party headquarters, which is open every single Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 6. You could come on down here and get you one of these flavorful Cabarrus County t-shirts. And no, I don't wear the same Cabarrus County t-shirt every day. I actually bought 5 of them so I could wear one of them every single day. And you too can come down here and get you one of these t-shirts. Today on Ground Game though, we got some really important stuff we're gonna tackle. We've been getting a lot of questions here at headquarters about absentee voting and voting by mail and universal ballot. So we're gonna have Jay White from our Board of Elections come and join us and kind of clear the air for us, get us the 411 if you will. And we're also gonna be joined by State Legislator Larry Pittman, who we're gonna have an interesting conversation with. So don't go anywhere. We're gonna get into this municipal and political calendar for you, and we'll be right back. This is your Cabarrus County political calendar. Join Barbara Strang for County Commissioner 4 p.m. on Saturday, August 29th for a fundraiser at the Republican Party headquarters. On Saturday, September 3rd, join Lieutenant Governor candidate Mark Robinson, Barbara Strang for County Commissioner, Representatives Larry Pittman and Kristen Baker at Eagle Guns at 6 p.m. On Tuesday, September 8th, your Midland Town Council meets at 6 p.m. And on Thursday, September 10th, your Concord City Council meets. Monday the 14th is going to be a pretty busy day in Cabarrus County with your Kannapolis City Council, Mount Pleasant Town Council, and your Cabarrus County Board of Education all meeting at 6 p.m. Your Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners will meet Thursday, September the 21st at 6:30 p.m. And your final Kannapolis City Council meeting of the month will happen Monday, September 28th. This is your Cabarrus County political calendar. And speaking about what's happening, let's segue into who I have sitting over here right next to me. To some of you folks, this guy needs no introduction. If you're watching this and you don't know who this guy is, he serves as our legislator for the 83rd District here in Cabarrus County. This is Larry Pittman, and I have the fortunate pleasure of calling him not only a friend, but a good brother in Christ.
Yes,
Brother Larry, good to see you, sir. How you doing?
All right, Adil, good to see you.
All right. Now, I know you're in the midst of an election right now. I know we've got state house elections going on, and we're going to talk about that. But one of the things that impressed me about you when I first met you is you actually pulled out a state constitution. And the first thing I heard you talk about was how important the rights of the people you represent is. And this was at one of my very first Republican Party meetings. So for those that don't know you, and I think it's an important message for us to get out, how important is what you're doing at the legislature, and how important to you is it that people show up and participate in your particular election? And what does that mean for the rights of the folks in Cabarrus County and the district you represent?
Well, let me say, I know a lot of folks, especially this year, be focused on the presidential election. Some people think that that's all that's going on. But your local and state public officials really affect your life a lot more directly and closely than they do in Washington. And so all these elections locally, especially the state legislature, are very important. One of the things that's very important about state legislative race this year is that next year we do redistricting. And so whoever has the majority in the legislature this year controls how the districts are drawn. Of course, you know, we have done that a couple of times violating the Constitution, and I voted no both times, not because I didn't like the districts. In fact, once it even gave me a district that helped me win a little more easily. But I still voted no, even though I knew that, because it was violating the state Constitution. Our founding fathers gave us the U.S. Constitution, the state Constitution, to give us wise guidelines for how we operate our government. Mm-hmm. And to violate that, to ignore it because of some agenda somebody has, is a violation of all the people's rights. You elect people to represent you and to uphold your rights and to uphold the Constitution, and to have anybody come along and throw the effectiveness of your vote out by violating all that is just unconscionable. And so I have stood against that. I've stood for the state and federal constitutions ever since I've been up there.
Wow.
Because it's about the people's rights.
So I think, Larry, one of the important things, and I know you work very hard to help people in the district, to help your constituents. And we know that you have an election coming up here. With all the things that are happening in the country right now and all the things that are happening in North Carolina, how important to you is it that we support our police officers and support the folks that are really keeping us safe out here?
It's essential. The idea of defunding the police or going after them for doing their job is just ridiculous. I hate to see some of the things happen. Somebody, maybe there's a misunderstanding, and sometimes it doesn't go well. But by and large, I think the police are out there trying to protect people. And I don't think they go out, you have a few exceptions, but I don't think they go out wanting to beat anybody up or shoot anybody. But there are certain matters of common sense of how you behave toward the police. And if you go attacking the police, they have the right to defend themselves. If they don't defend themselves, how are they going to defend other people? So supporting law enforcement is a very important aspect of the role that I play in Raleigh. And one thing that I plan to do if reelected is to run a bill next year that would hold public officials accountable for what happens if they tell the police to stand down. If there's a crime occurring, the police should be free to handle it. They should not be told to stand down because of some political agenda somebody might have. So if public officials are going to do that, I think they need to be held accountable for it.
I think that's an interesting concept to hold right there. We're going to hold up for a second and come right back. We got another quick section with Larry Pittman, but we're going to take a quick break.
I'm Dan Forrest.
I'm Mark Robinson. Our state faces a choice.
Either we defend capitalism or give in to socialism.
Either we have the courage to uphold law and order, or we cave to the demands of the mob.
Either we stand up to the extremism of the radical left, or we become strangers in our own state.
If good people don't stand up and do something now, our state will never be the same.
I'm Dan Forrest, running for governor.
I'm Mark Robinson, running for lieutenant governor.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on Ground Game with your Cabarrus County Republican Party, and I can't speak more highly of Dan Forrest and Mark Robinson, two fantastic individuals who we definitely in this county need to support. I want to thank Dan Forrest and both Mark Robinson for what they're doing in the state throughout this pandemic, traveling the state, not only giving folks hope, but laying out some very interesting plans. So I think that's a very important thing for us to do. I know you're a big Dan Forrest supporter.
Yes, sir.
Now, Larry, speaking of Dan Forrest and the whole governor's race, I think it's important that we talk about what you got going on here, which is a campaign. I know in previous elections you've been outraised monetarily and you fought back. I know you've also made mention that if you win this election, this would be your last time running.
Yes, sir.
Before we talk about the campaign proper, what for you has been the most important part or the most impactful part of serving in the legislature for you? Like, if all things considered, what is the thing that will stick with you the most about serving as a legislator?
Well, if I may, I'll mention a couple of things. One is, I may not have gotten all my bills passed, but I've helped stop some really bad legislation from getting passed. And that's really more important sometimes than getting your own bill passed. Because like we had a bill last year that would have put license plate readers all over the streets and highways all across the state. Idea was supposed to be to help catch bank robbers and kidnappers more easily. But Mike Speciale and Keith Kidwell and I stood up against that. And I pointed out that a lot of totalitarian governments either have or would love to have a system like that so that they can trace the movements of their opponents wherever they go and use it against them. Mike Speciale pointed out that it would be much better to put the license tag readers on the dashboards of police cars instead of having them all over the highway tracing everybody so they could look for that particular license plate. And Keith Kidwell talked about it being in violation of the 4th and 5th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution. So with the three of us, we changed some minds and we got that bill stopped in the House before it didn't even get to the Senate. So I was proud of that. But on the other hand, the other thing that I'm really proud of is the ability that we've had to help people who are having problems with government and trying to cut through the red tape during this crisis in employment, unemployment and all that was caused not by a virus but by King Cooper's overreaction to it, putting a lot of people out of work, shutting down businesses, and some probably never open again. We've been able to help a lot of people cut through the red tape to get their unemployment benefits. I also, a couple of years back, helped a lady who contacted me and said that her son was very badly ill and needing to get on Medicaid and wasn't able to get through the red tape to do it. We got him on Medicaid. Well, the day after we informed her that he had his Medicaid, they had to rush him to the hospital at Chapel Hill because he got so bad off, and he actually was dead on arrival at the hospital.
Wow.
But they managed to revive him, and she still says, a couple of years later, that we saved his life. And so I'm very proud to have been able to do that. As a pastor, that's something that means a lot to me. When people have a need, when they have a legitimate need for a solution to a problem, it just thrills me that my wife, who is my legislative assistant, and I are able to help people in need like that.
I think that speaks volumes of your wanting to serve and why you're doing what you're doing up in Raleigh. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined with none other than Larry Pittman here on Ground Game, and I didn't tell him I was going to do this. Heck, I didn't even tell our producer we was going to do this, but I got something I want to do so we can make sure Brother Larry here identifies with your values. So I know I didn't tell you we were going to do this, but I want a simple yes or no answer, one-word answer to the following question, just so folks can do this. All right, let's go. All right, you ready? Ready? Here we go. Do you believe life should be protected?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Do you believe parents should be able to choose where their children go to school?
Yes.
Do you believe that law enforcement should be supported?
Yes.
Do you believe that America and Cabarrus County and your district should be giving a people a hand up, not a hand out?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe people should be treated according to the content of their character or the color of their skin?
Yes. If
Bottom
I could
line.
say a little more about that, if I could.
And reason I did that, I'll let you go. But ladies and gentlemen, in 30 seconds here, you just found out that Larry Pittman holds probably every single value that you hold. And you go ahead and tell him what you was going to say at this point, but that was what I was trying to pull out from that in a quick exercise. It's just that you don't know. If you don't know who Larry is, you don't know those things about him. And he's a preacher, so he's going to tell you something else. Go ahead, brother. What you had on you?
Well, I'm sick and tired of people making problems or turning against other people because of the color of their skin. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
Wait, whoa. You? The people that the Democrats out here call racist, you really, what?
The Bible tells me that we all come from one man. And, geneticists who believe that actually say that he was neither black nor white. Because if he had been either one, we wouldn't have had the variation of colors we had. They say he was somewhere in between. That's what provides genetically the ability to have all these different colors. We're all created by God in His image to love Him and to love one another. And the color of our skin makes no difference to Him. It should not make any difference to us in any realm of consideration or for any reason. So I get sick and tired of people letting that make such a difference.
Well, I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we weren't going to mention it on the show, but I'm going to mention it. Actually, this guy showed up at every event that I've done, and I've had mostly black people at most of the events that I've done. So I think we just demolished that idea. Don't put Larry and that racism idea in the same thing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on Ground Game. I'm your host, Abdul Ali. This is your legislator. If you live in this district, Larry Pittman. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Ground Game with your Cabarrus County Republican Party. I am Abdul Ali, and as always, we want to be a resource to you, the voters of Cabarrus County. So today we are joined by none other than Jay White, who fortunately we have the pleasure of him serving on our Cabarrus County Board of Elections. Brother Jay, welcome to the Ground Game. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you letting me come out and talk to you and talk to everybody out there that's going to see this video about voting.
Important stuff. So you're on our county board of elections.
Yes, sir.
You are tasked with making sure our elections are secure and that everything is on the up and up. One of the major things we're hearing about this year with elections is the mail-in ballots and voting by mail. So first thing we wanted to try to cover a little bit, if you don't mind, is talking about the mail-in ballot process and the distinction between universal vote by mail versus the absentee process?
Okay, great question, Abdul. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, but let's start off. First is North Carolina is not universal vote by mail. Now, what that means is this: in some states in the United States, they mail out ballots to whatever your address is if you're on the rolls. And North Carolina doesn't do that. North Carolina, you have to ask for it. So you have to ask for it by mail. You can also do it in person, and you can have email or fax, but you can get that information from the Cabarrus County website. You can get that request. You can also get it from the state. So you can request a ballot, and when you request, you can request to vote by absentee. And when you request that ballot, we do a process where when we get it back, we will then scan it to make certain that for posterity's sake, that information is recorded and kept. Then what happens, it goes to data entry, and that data entry goes into the state system for a database because you've requested. So Abdul, if you request it, that information is going to go in. Then we have 2 people that will review your request for an application for a ballot to make certain the information that you put on that request is correct.
Gotcha.
Now, if you do not put in your date of birth correctly, or if you do not put your social security number, or if we, heavens forbid, mess up your social security number, then we will catch that. We will then send a letter out to you, Abdul, or we'll send you an email, depends on what we got, to say, hey, we need to get this information updated. And then once it's updated, we are now processed and ready for the queue for the ballots to go out. So North Carolina does not have universal vote by mail. You have to request your ballot, and it's important to request it as soon as possible so we can get that application started so that we can get the ballot out to you when you're ready to vote.
So one of the things, and I know that's a lot to unpack for the folks, one of the major things that I heard in that is that there are fail-safes to make sure when you request that absentee ballot. I know you mentioned those checking of the ballots is going to be done by 2 people independently of each other.
Not ballots, checking their application.
Checking their application.
Right.
See, I almost got confused. But if you do vote by mail, if you do want to vote with absentee ballot by mail, how soon do you have to get that in, your actual ballot in, to vote by mail?
To get it to vote by mail, you need to have it postmarked by election day. So let's talk about that real quick. Is you get when the application comes in, you will then be sent a packet, and that packet of information, one of the things will be the ballot. That ballot needs to be mailed, postmarked by the day of election. So when you go to your post office and you mail a letter back to the Cabarrus County Board of Elections to get your vote, your ballot, make doggone certain that the postmaster stamps your mail indicating that it was mailed on the day of election or before. If we get something that is not postmarked, we can't count it because we don't know when it was mailed. So we need to have that. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention, in 2016, we had about 5,000 to 5,500 absentee votes by mail. As of today, we have already surpassed that number. We're getting 500 to 800 applications every day requesting vote by mail. So it's very important. We're taking it very seriously, and we're here to try and help everybody make certain they get their vote and their vote counts.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is a great point for us to really stop and think about this for a second. We have a great system in place. We have great people here in Cabarrus County, like Jay White and our other representatives on the Board of Elections that are working to keep our elections secure and our elections safe. It is another important reason why you need to support your Cabarrus County Republican Party. We have Republican representation on our Board of Election, and we have Democrat representation on the Board of Election. But it's also important for you to know who's on your Board of Elections and the work that they're doing to keep our elections elections here safe in Cabarrus County. So as you can tell, ladies and gentlemen, we have some very important issues to address this particular election cycle. We wanted to bring you, as your Republican Party, your representation on the Board of Elections so that you know we have folks working tirelessly to keep our elections safe here in Cabarrus County. Any last parting shots you got for us, Jay?
Abdul, it's just so important that people get out to vote. And everybody says now is the time, now is what you need to do. Well, it is, because it is your civic duty and responsibility to vote. We want to hear your vote. We want to know that your voice is heard. And a big shout out goes to Lanning Lancaster. He's done a tremendous job on the Board of Elections, and he's just a tremendous asset to the community as a whole. But your vote counts, and what we're trying to do and what we are fighting for is to make certain that you have a safe, secure way to get your voice heard by voting by absentee ballot, by early voting, one-stop voting, or on the day of election. So please get out to vote. It's important to you, and it's certainly important to your community. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ground Game with your Cabarrus County Republican Party. I am Abdul Ali. This is one of your Board of Elections representatives. I'm getting you guys in the school board all jacked up. But this is Jay White. We'll be right back with more information on Ground Game.
Thanks, Abdul.
Welcome back to Ground Game with your Cabarrus County Republican Party. I am Abdul Ali, and on behalf of our chairman, our vice chairwoman, and our entire executive committee, thank you so much for checking out Ground Game. Next week, we are going to be joined by Sarah Newby to talk about how important the judges' elections are, not just for us statewide, but about what's going on here in Cabarrus County. Also, if you want to come down in here and kick it and co-host an episode of Ground Game, or if you're a candidate, you want to get your message out, come sit in the hot seat as it were, send us an email to communications@cabarrus.gop, and we will definitely get back to you. On behalf of my man G to the Mills behind the camera and on the boards, I am Abdul Ali. This is Ground Game with Cabarrus County Republican Party. See you next time.